your partner is a completely messy person who never picks up after themselves, and you're going to spend hours cleaning up the mess, whether it's their office, their vehicle, or the garage, all in the name of trying to impress them, all in the name of trying to get their attention. And you've been at it all day, and now they come home where all you get is a simple, thanks. And then they still create a huge mess in the kitchen, disregarding the fact that you've been cleaning all day. But hey, you got a thanks. It was noticed. It's what we do to get a cookie crumb. Today I would like to address the issue regarding our fear around abandonment and how it affects our behavior. And if you stick around until the end, I'm going to be discussing ways in which we can remove that fear of abandonment from our lives once and for all. So hi everybody, Deanna King here. For those who don't know me, and on this channel we discuss all things codependency and narcissism. But before we begin, I would like to ask that if any of my videos are helpful in any way, to please subscribe, comment, and click on that notification bell, because for those of you who do, you are literally helping me grow my channel. So thank you. Okay, so moving on to our subject here. Fear of abandonment is such a huge issue for those of us feeling stuck in these codependent, narcissistic relationships. We're so afraid of being abandoned that we drop our own values. We compromise our very being in order to prevent any possibility of being abandoned. And when I say compromise our being, I mean we don't stand up for ourselves when something is wrong. We don't speak up when we need to. And if we do speak up, we end up caving and giving up on our own needs, such as speaking up to someone with a more authoritative voice. Let's look at an example here. You and your partner are out at a dinner party, or you're having guests in your home. So during the course of the night, it becomes all too clear to you that your partner's been flirting with one of the guests. And this isn't merely an innocent 1-minute flirtation either here. It goes on all evening, and that hurts. And so, of course, you want to address it. I mean, it's only normal here, right? This is real life. Things like this need to be addressed. This isn't something that you just sweep under the rug and bottle up inside. So as any normal being would do, you address it. So you say something about the way that their behavior was regarding the way they were flirting with so-and-so. And just like that, they're putting it on you. They're going to make you feel bad about yourself. They're going to belittle you and call you insecure, leaving you feeling shame for having jealous feelings. And first of all, that isn't jealous feelings. That was downright rudeness. But anyway, they're going to respond in a way that triggers you to get you to change your response on the matter. For example, if you say to them something like, "What's going on between you and Rebecca here? You seem to be pretty cozy there last night." They're going to turn around with a response such as, "What? You don't trust me? What kind of relationship is this? Trust is the foundation of a relationship. And if there isn't any trust here, well," leaving you with the fear that they may just end things. So suddenly your stance changes. You end up saying something like, "Well, it isn't that I don't trust you. It's just that I thought," and on and on. Here you are defending yourself from a valid point that you had in the first place. So now you're left feeling horrible. You feel all of these opposing feelings. You not only feel that your partner was flirting, you know that they were flirting. So you feel hurt, you feel angry, you feel disrespected, and you feel ashamed for not having stayed on point, for not having defended yourself. You feel like a weakling. You feel angry with self, and yet at the same time you're relieved that somehow you saved the day, because now they're not going to abandon you. It was all that you could do to prevent any possibility of being abandoned. And this abandonment, it stems from childhood, and it could have been experienced in several ways. It could stem from a divorce or a parent moving out. It could stem from the death of a parent. It can be caused by a suicide attempt by the caregiver, or even overhearing a conversation around that subject. Fear of abandonment can even stem from a parent that's distracted and emotionally unavailable. So the child grows up so desperately needing to have support, to have somebody around, a voice, a hug, or acknowledgement. The child feels alone all of the time, and so the world doesn't feel safe. There is never anybody around defending them or protecting them. So as codependents, we grow up feeling unwanted. Nobody wants us around. No one has the time of day for us. We are invisible, and then we feel that we bother people. And then in adulthood, one unresponded phrase in a group setting sends us right back to those memories of being unwanted. And then a lot of us end up being loners as adults. I mean, we might have some type of social life and some friends, but we do feel safer alone at home. It feels safer there because we're not encountering those awful feelings. We don't realize that on a conscious level. We just think that we're naturally born hermits. But on a subconscious level, there's your reason. So we distract ourselves by overdoing, for many of us anyway, in order to avoid the pain that we feel inside. And we've picked up on some survival skills along the way, growing up. Now, if you look at the word survival in dictionary, it states the state or fact of continuing to live or exist, typically in spite of an accident, ordeal, or difficult circumstances. Basically, if you want to live, you have to eat and keep eating. If you end up in an accident and can no longer walk, you're going to need to use radical acceptance in order to survive mentally and a wheelchair for physically. In the case of abandonment, the way that we as codependents have learned to survive was through people pleasing, because without others, we cannot survive. And that's not just us. People need people. It is a basic human need. As children, we started off by simple things in order to survive, like picking flowers in a field for an undeserving caregiver, just so that they could communicate something to us, anything. Later on, it became about helping a parent or caregiver with a task that no one else wanted to help with. And for you, those are the good memories that you cherish, because those were the times that you were told something like, what would I have done without you? Or perhaps they talked to you that day, maybe even asked you about school. You were acknowledged. You were filled with your existence. You were seen. You were noticed. You felt special. And that day, you were human. You didn't think to yourself thoughts like, why do I have to do extra to be seen where others don't have to do anything at all? You think about that later on when you grow older. All that you felt in that moment was fulfilled because that human need was met. But one time wasn't enough though. When you're hungry, the body needs to eat. The body eats. The body's full. But later on, the body needs to fill again. And it's the same thing for acknowledgement. You can have all the acknowledgement that you need growing up, but if after years of marriage you're no longer being acknowledged, for example, where nothing changes, that is cause for divorce. So anyway, back to childhood here. Once you saw that this helping or doing for another got you what you needed, you did it again. So the brain got a hit of dopamine, and dopamine is a chemical that gets released in the brain. This is a feel-good chemical that the body and brain need for survival, just like the body needs food. I mean, why do you think so many hurting people in the world out there are doing drugs? The word dope stems from the word dopamine. And there are so many hurting people out there feeling guilt and shame over having used drugs in the past. And if that's you, forgive yourself. And if that's still you, keep working on self. Work on the real issue, not the outcome from the issue. Okay, so where was I? Oh, okay. So here you are in this predicament of doing for everybody. I mean, not just doing, but overdoing. Your friend is in the midst of a divorce and starting over, and there you are emptying out your whole house with stuff to provide for your friend, even though they have money and you don't. Or your partner is a completely messy person who never picks up after themselves, and you're going to spend hours cleaning up the mess, whether it's their office, their vehicle, or the garage, all in the name of trying to impress them, all in the name of trying to get their attention. And you've been at it all day, and now they come home where all you get is a simple, thanks. And then they still create a huge mess in the kitchen, disregarding the fact that you've been cleaning all day. But hey, you got a thanks. It was noticed. So what we do to get a cookie crumb, that acknowledgement, that feeling of being seen, that you exist, that hit of dopamine. We need so desperately to feel wanted, to be included as a living, breathing thing. We're screaming inside, please love me, please see me. So where do you go from here? We can start with reparenting the child, because the child is still there. So you talk to the inner child, you validate your own self. So what you're doing is you're fulfilling the needs that you never received by becoming the parent that you needed. I mean, here we are parenting everyone else, making sure that all of their needs are met and taking on responsibilities that aren't even ours to take. So here are some examples of what reparenting can look like. Let's say that you've just walked away from a session of being torn apart through verbal abuse via your narcissistic partner. Go and sit by yourself for a moment and ask the child version of you how they're feeling. You want to step into the energy of the child. Now, while the child's energy is letting you know how upset they are, I want you to comfort the child with words such as, that wasn't really fair to you, was it? Tell the child that you understand the pain that they feel and that you're on their side, and that no one should ever be treated in such a manner. Tell them that they did not deserve this. So what you're doing here is you're acknowledging the child, you're acknowledging the self, you're reprogramming the mind. And you might be thinking that this method is childish and foolish, but don't be so quick to dismiss this. The brain cannot tell the difference between reality and non-reality, especially when you're in a high emotional state like that. And that's where the information such as being acknowledged gets accepted into the subconscious mind. I mean, why do you think hypnotists on stage have dim lighting, fog, and drum rolls, for example? They're setting the stage for intense emotions like fear and anxiety, which makes the subject way easier to hypnotize. So another way that you may want to reparent is by going through all the good things that you like about yourself, and do that often. At the end of the day, while you have space for you, such as showering, pat yourself on the back for all the good that you've done in that day, for example. And I'm not talking about all the things that you've accomplished. Sorry about all that noise out there. That's how we end up becoming workaholics here in the first place, thinking that we need to keep doing in order to be loved. I'm talking about patting yourself on the back for having had the courage to say no to somebody, or for not doing something codependent and offering yourself up to someone. I'm talking about acknowledging the child for having walked away from a gaslighting session without having had taken the bait. And then repeat to yourself that you are enough. However, you don't want to repeat I am enough when you're not feeling it. That's just wasting your time. But say it in the moments where you actually feel it, and try to feel it often. Especially when you're in a theta state, that's where the subconscious mind accepts it. And then you really do feel that you are enough. The theta state is when you're feeling really relaxed, such as meditation or right before falling asleep. Of course, though, it takes more than one round of this before the subconscious mind can accept it as truth. But do it every night if you can, and pretty soon you're going to start to believe it until you completely believe it. It will become your truth, and when it does, you will be changed. You will change automatically because it will have become hardwired into your brain, where it will just become second nature to no longer accept bad behavior from anyone, including yourself. You're naturally going to stop becoming needy. And when that happens, people around you are going to change. Those who want to be with you in your life are going to start to respect you more. And that's because within you, you're now vibrating that respect in yourself. And then those who don't have that love to give will simply fall away, where you will no longer fear their leaving. Matter of fact, you're going to welcome it. And that's basically it. You can ask your child things like, what do you need? Or what do you want at any given moment? If the child, aka intuition, needs a hug, then do that. Hug yourself, as silly as that may sound. If you feel that you've made mistakes in your day, let that child know that it's okay, that you're only human. If you're feeling afraid, remind the child that it's okay and that they're safe, and that no matter what, you're never going to abandon them again. You want to keep that child near you at all times until eventually the child is going to become one with you. So tell them that you're proud of them, and tell them often. Tell them that you believe in them, and see where that goes. So want to leave you with this to ponder on and hopefully apply. So as the saying goes, seek and you shall find. So we shall see you in the next video, and bye for now.